speaks. What did he say? Quarterback controversies in training camp and my damn mystery segment. All that and more. Locked on NFL. Let's go.
You are Locked On NFL, your daily NFL podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And welcome in. Alex Clancy, Tyler Rowland, Locked On NFL Thursday. Follow him on Twitter at TikTok Titans. Follow me at Clancy's Corner. You check him out Monday through Friday. All of your Tennessee Titans news, free and available on all platforms and on YouTube. Same for me with Kyler Murray led Arizona Cardinals. Free and available on all platforms. Big show today. Mystery segment in the third segment. I just thought of it. It's going to keep Tyler on his heels. Love that. Next segment, we're going to talk about quarterback controversy. Mitchell Trubisky, Kenny Pickett. Jeez, where is my brain? Kenny Pickett. And first, Kyler Murray. So this is what's going to happen here. We're going to get right into it because this is going to be a long segment. I'm going to let Tyler speak on the quarterback for the team that I cover first. So setting the stage, Kyler Murray Ian Rappaport tweeted out a picture of a clause in Kyler Murray's recently signed massive contract that stipulates that he has 4 hours of, quote, independent study a week. And if he doesn't watch film on his own for 4 hours a week, he will be seen as being in default of his contract. Michael Bidwell, I know because I cover, and the ineptitude is abound. It infuses the organization. I'll give my thoughts next, but Kyler Murray just spoke earlier today, and he was much more sharp-tongued than we've heard from Kyler Murray up to this point. Tyler DM'd me, he's like, hey, we got to start with Kyler. I'm like, okay.
Have to.
The table's set, big boy. Go ahead.
All right. Well, first and foremost, I'm just going to break it down from what he said to who it was aimed at and all of that. So first thing, Kyler Murray got out there and he said, hey, I couldn't have accomplished all that I've accomplished in my career if I didn't, take my preparation seriously, if I didn't watch film. He called it a joke, all the conversation around him and his contract clause, and he called it disrespectful, the way that people were talking about him. I'm guessing he means in the media, in social media. Well, number one, just to start with the content of what he said, what has Kyler Murray accomplished? I mean, other than, for me, a guy covering football, never got close to being that good of an athlete. Yeah, you could say he's accomplished being great in college. He won the Heisman Trophy, right? Went number one overall, has had a double-digit winning season in the NFL. Okay, for your average person, me, people listening, yes. Okay, those are major accomplishments, but compared to his peers, he's accomplished nothing. Nothing more than Jalen Hurts from Philadelphia, and you don't see Jalen Hurts going out there saying, well, everything that I've done, how dare you question my work ethic? I just think it's preposterous, and it gives us a window into, remember, in the New York Times, just last year, Kyler Murray said, I'm not one of those guys who's going to go out there and kill myself watching film. He said it himself. The team wouldn't have this in his contract if it wasn't a major concern for them as an organization. So I just think it's incredibly self-centered to get up there and say, look at everything I've done. Of course I work hard. But, well, there's working hard, which is, taking care of your body, coming to practice, practicing hard, all of that. And then there's going that extra level that the greats do. So what he said to defend himself, I thought was preposterous. You've accomplished nothing in the NFL.
Okay. I'm going to cut you. Okay.
To say that's preposterous. You haven't done anything. And then on the flip side, he was aiming all of that at the people on social media, at the media. But look, the people who embarrassed you publicly are the people who wrote it into your contract and the people who leaked it so that you would be publicly embarrassed in hopes to change your behavior. What he said I thought was insane, because relatively speaking, he hasn't accomplished anything in the league. And then I thought how he directed it at the media and people on social media was preposterous, because the people who tied the rope and let him drop were his own organization. So what he had to say I thought was off. and who he aimed it at, I thought was off. So I just thought it was the whole situation is an embarrassment for Kyler Murray, and I don't think he did anything to change that.
Okay, you're wrong. So I'm just going to start with that. I'm just going to lead with that.
Great
Stay
start. Way to
one
start.
More time.
Yeah.
Stay preposterous one more time. So here's the thing. I'm not going to turn this into like a first thing. Like that's not. I think that you're sweet, but you're just very, very missing. What Kyler Murray did today is a representation of pretty much anytime anybody has said anything bad about him in his life. Okay. So let me frame it this way. Kyler Murray came out and was a lot more sharp-tongued than he has been in the media. People see him as aloof, as kind of quiet, weird, quirky. Just because people aren't loud doesn't mean they're dumb. Just because people aren't loud doesn't mean that they don't know what's going on. Those two things are ridiculous. But in our society, for some reason, quiet equals dumb. Quiet equals not informed. Quiet equals not a good leader. Quiet equals all these things. Is Kyler Murray a work in progress? 1,000%. Is Kyler Murray not close to where he could potentially be? 1,000%. Did the front office pull a power move on him? And absolutely. Should Kyler Murray watch more film? 1,000,000%. But with what he said today, what he's accomplished, nothing. If that's the case, 90% of quarterbacks playing right now have accomplished nothing. He won Rookie of the Year. He's been a Pro Bowler twice. Okay? So the majority of quarterbacks, and the problem is, and we talk about this with pretty much every topic in the NFL, the Patriots and Tom Brady ruined it for everybody because he was the only one that was accomplishing things for a long time in the AFC. Sure, people have gotten close. Ben's won two. Did Phillip Rivers accomplish anything? I know he hasn't won a playoff game yet. He's going into his fourth year, and I've implored people, and I implore you now, don't compare him to anybody else. There's nobody quarterback.
That's not how this works.
No, it has to be.
We compare everything. It's sports.
There's nobody quarterbacking the Arizona Cardinals. There's nobody that is trying to get the Arizona Cardinals out of the doldrums of a 3-13 season where they average less points per game than the 2008 Detroit Lions who went 0-16. This is an impossible task that he's taking on. And the polarization between the fans who have been Cardinals fans for a long time, it's like, it's always Kyler's fault. It's not the front office. It's always Kyler's fault. It's not the front office. Watch him play football. Is he a finished product? No. But he 100% deserved to say everything that he said today, and I back him up. I stand by Kyler for the majority of things. I will but I'm not doing it without any sort of rational thought. I think he 100% said what needed to be said. He took ownership, and he said, you know what? Watch me. And we'll find out in 2022 what Kyler Murray's made of.
I think there are two things here. One of them I disagree with you. One of them I agree with you. Number one, I think that it is absolutely fair to question whether Kyler Murray is getting as much juice out of the squeeze with his preparation.
Sure.
The clear indicator is that they put that in the contract. That tells the story of whether he does film work necessary or not. He doesn't. And he said that himself in that New York Times quote. So I think that we could say, hey, Kyler needs to do more. But I will end with, I agree with you. At the end of it all, the biggest problem is the ineptitude of the Arizona Cardinals organization. I got to give a shout out to my guy, Drew Garrison on Twitter, who creates content for the Cincinnati Bengals. He said the Arizona Cardinals organization has self-created their own distraction. This is a distraction now in NFL terms. This is a distraction. Your quarterback, star of your franchise, you just gave a big contract. He's got to go out here and have a surprise press conference to defend himself because of the public crap storm that's been thrown on him by his own organization, who clearly wanted that clause in the contract to get out there. So at the end of the day, I don't think Kyler's in the right, and you could take that position, but we can both agree that the Cardinals organization did Kyler dirty as you can do a dude, while on the other hand, giving him $230 million. Obviously, that's not dirty. I would take that in a second. But at the end of the day, the Cardinals created this storm themselves by doing this. If you don't trust the guy, and if you feel like you got to publicly shame the guy through his contract to get him to do what you want, then maybe don't give him $230 million. Either way, I don't think Kyler's in the right, and that's fair if you do, but we both can agree that the Cardinals organization just continues doing things that are mind-numbing.
Yeah. And I know we're going long. There's one last thing that I need to mention here. There's one last thing that I need to mention here, that you could have sat down on a plush leather couch in Michael Bidwell's office and did a little handshaky on the, hey, watch more film for us. This isn't like, don't go bungee jumping. Don't go skydiving.
Right.
Don't go cross-country skiing blindfolded. That's not what this clause is. This is a direct attack on Kyler Murray's work ethic. And I am shocked. And the last thing I'll say is,
to put it in the contract, it has to be a serious concern.
Right. For them. But you know what? Michael Bidwell has already said, Steve Keim, Cliff Kingsbury, you've done no wrong. You get 5-year extensions. This is so backwards.
Right.
Like, if you don't trust him, trade him.
Right.
Seriously, if you don't trust him.
Miami.
And yeah, you son of a beast thing. Hopefully not. Alex Clancy, locked on Cardinals. Yes. Alex Clancy, Tyler Rowland. Follow him at Tic Tac Titans. Follow me at Clancy's Corner. He's Titans. I'm Cardinals. I'm Kyler Murray. Just blood curdling through my brain and veins. Coming up next, quarterback controversies, quarterback competitions. I mean, for two teams that fall from grace is going to continue, it seems like. But we're going to talk about who should start, who shouldn't. Next, Locked On NFL, first, Built Bar. There's no controversy with what the best protein bar on the planet is, and that's Built Bar. Cookie dough chunk puff. Okay? Picture, when you're 7 years old, okay? Your mom's making you chocolate chip cookies for your birthday. And you see the cookie dough, and mom's like, nope, can't eat that. There's raw eggs in there. Picture that. Chocolate covered, good for you, 15 grams of protein, 160 calories, and it's in like a 6-bite magical treat. That's what cookie dough chunk puffs are. Puffs, protein-infused marshmallows. Like, Built Bar continues to make great tasting protein bars, and they're still good for you. So that's really much all you need to know. This is the featured flavor. I have some sitting over there right now. I'm trying to ration them out so I don't eat 3 or 4 in one sitting, which I've done before. True story. Go to Built.com and get yourself a box of cookie dough chunk puffs today. Go to Built.com. Use promo code LOCKED15 for 15% off your order. That's 15% off with promo code LOCKED15 at Built.com.
All right, NFL fans, let's continue this Thursday edition of the Locked On NFL podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Tyler Rowland from Locked On Titans, here with Alex Clancy, Locked On Cardinals. Thanks for making the Locked On NFL podcast your first listen every day. Make sure you subscribe on whatever platform you do stream, including the Locked On NFL YouTube channel. Going to get Monday through Friday free NFL conversation from the hosts of all of your favorite Locked On NFL podcasts. But before we dive into our second topic of the day, which is quarterback battles going on in training camp, we got breaking news here. Me and Alex are going live right now on Thursday evening. Ryan Jensen, the starting star center of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, appears to have a serious knee injury that could knock him out for the foreseeable future after losing Alex Kappa. The Bucs are going to be in a tough spot on the interior, and as we know, Tom Brady likes his interior fortified. That's what really matters to Tom Brady, so he can step up in the pocket and do the things he likes to do. So a major injury already in the NFL. That'll be something to watch going forward throughout training camp. But another thing to watch going forward through training camp are the quarterback battles that are taking place around the league, and there are 3 of them that really popped into my mind. And there's one that I think there should be a 4th one that isn't one. And that was going to be a full segment for us until I kind of pivoted to the larger topic at hand. So the 3 battles that I want to focus on here: Mitch Trubisky against Kenny Pickett, the rookie in Pittsburgh, which we may want to include Mason Rudolph in that, because my intel tells me that Mason Rudolph has been the best quarterback in Steelers camp, but that makes sense. He's had the most experience within the system and the organization. I still think it's between Trubisky and Pickett at the end of the day. And then you got Carolina, which is now Baker Mayfield versus Sam Darnold. And then you also have, I think this one's not as important, but you have Marcus Mariota against the rookie Desmond Ridder down in Atlanta. And the 4th one that I think should be in there is Trey Lance and Jimmy Garoppolo, but we'll talk about that later. We'll start in Pittsburgh. Alex, when you're looking at Jamar Chase, it's in my head for some reason watching Bengals stuff, but you look at Mitch Trubisky versus Kenny Pickett, the rookie. Who do you think should win that battle, and who will win that battle?
The answer is one and the same there, bucko, and it should be and will be Mitchell Trubisky. The problem is that Mitchell Trubisky is grouped in with guys like Baker Mayfield and Jimmy Garoppolo. Fan bases just don't like them as a quarterback. Mitchell Trubisky won a lot of games in Chicago. He was a quadruple doink away from winning a playoff game against Philly. Like, Here's the thing. Jared Goff, number one truther. Okay, if I'm taking off my Arizona Cardinals hat. Jared Goff, number one truther. Okay? Taylor Heineke, for like 15 minutes, truther when he reached the pylon in the playoff game. Okay?
You love tier 3 quarterbacks.
Truther.
Yes.
Truther. Mitchell Trubisky, truther. He's fluid in the pocket. He can run the ball. He doesn't have a terrible arm. And remember, a couple years ago, when he really got his last chance to start, he was gangbusters through the first half of the season, I think. It was at least through the first handful of games.
Yeah.
And this team is tailor-made for a guy who has some sort of control over his arm that Mason Rudolph doesn't seem to, even though he put up ridiculous numbers at Oak State. Like Deontay Johnson, Chase Claypool, the receiver that they drafted who's escaping me right now, Najee Harris. Their offensive line is terrible compared to what it's been.
I think it was George Pitt.
Yeah, in years past. But his fluidity in the pocket, they can win games with Mitchell Trubisky. So I think it should be, and I think it will be, at least for the first half of this season.
You know, I'm not going to lie to you. I came in with the idea that it will be Mitchell Trubisky, but I was going to make a should argument for Kenny Pickett. You talked me off of it, buddy. That's a great point. I think that the Steelers are ready to win some games right now with the rest of the roster that they have. Mitch Trubisky, because of I think his mobility is much better than Kenny Pickett. So while neither of them, I think, are going to be explosive throwing the ball, if one guy's a much more explosive runner, that's going to lead you to winning more games right now. And I think that is what the Steelers want to do. I think the problem here ultimately is the upside of Kenny Pickett is just not high enough to put him in right away. That would be the argument for Kenny Pickett playing right away, is that you want to cultivate that upside now so you can get the best out of him. But I don't really think that Kenny Pickett at his best is going to be much better than Mitch Trubisky at his best. And Kenny Pickett isn't going to be at his best in his rookie year. So I agree with you. Go with Mitch Trubisky there. As for the second battle, Sam Darnold, Baker Mayfield, who should win, who will win? For me, who should win and who will win is, like you said, exactly the same. It's got to be Baker Mayfield. I just think he's a better player than Sam. And for the record, in these first couple of practices, Baker Mayfield has been running with the first team, Sam Darnold with the second team. You gave up what you gave up to get Baker and to bring him in. It rocks the boat in the quarterback room. I don't think you're willing to do that unless Baker takes those reins. Would you agree there, or is there another argument to be made?
No. We don't even have to talk about that. It will be Baker Mayfield. He's not a bad quarterback. He's just being painted as one.
Right. Because he's a little bit of a cantankerous personality and the way things ended in Cleveland, all that. Right.
He's never seen ghosts. He's never seen ghosts. Okay.
True about that, man. What a crazy moment in Sam Darnold's career. He's not going to be a good enough quarterback to get away from that moment. That's going to follow him the rest of his life. As for the third one, not as flashy, not as much pop on the third quarterback battle, but down in Atlanta in the ATL, Marcus Mariota, who I know quite a bit about with my Titans allegiance, and then Desmond Ridder, who I also know quite about as a guy from Ohio who watches Cincinnati football quite a bit. Alex, I say, hey, I know these guys pretty well, but what do you got to say? Who should win that battle and who will?
This is actually tougher. Like, Desmond Ridder's got a lot of Marcus Mariota in him.
Yes.
Right? I mean, there's the same kind of quarterback. I would still start Marcus Mariota. Marcus Mariota is only good until you need him to be. Like, when you need a 3rd and 8, he's not the guy. When it's 1st and goal from the 3 and you have those fun, triple options or whatever, get him in the end zone, he's a big dude who can run the ball still, for sure. We saw it in Oakland, or in Vegas. But what I would like to see is
game that he could play.
Right. Like a dual quarterback system, I think could really work in some capacity, not 50-50, not like Craig, when Pepe Pearson was the running back at Ohio State, who the two quarterbacks were, that they would go back and forth. I can't remember right now. It was before Craig Krenzel. But I would still roll with Marcus Mariota until that he can show that he can't throw the ball as far downfield to make Drake London and Kyle Pitts relevant. And then you just rip off the Band-Aid and you go with the kid.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm going to use your Pittsburgh argument, but flip it. Atlanta's roster is not ready to win games. That might be the
true.
worst roster in the entire league. And for me, if that's the case and you're not immediately going to be able to win games, then go with the young guy. Their skill sets are close enough where they have good athleticism. They're a good person who's going to work hard and who's going to study and who's going to train and be ready and all that. But they simply don't have the ability throwing the ball that you would want, even though they're a good athlete with a good body, 6'4", all that. So because the skill sets are similar enough and there's not a lot on the line in terms of wins, I'm going with Desmond Ridder. But we know that Marcus isn't going to be the guy when Atlanta gets back to playing good football. Desmond Ridder could be. So because you don't have a lot on the line this year in terms of wins and losses, you might as well give it to the young guy and see what you got. And I just want to say this last thing before we move on to Alex's mystery segment. I'm on my Brian Windhorst.
Oh, God.
What is going on in San Francisco? Debo's holding in. Elijah Mitchell, they're saying that they don't really believe that he's going to be durable already this early. They've come out and said, Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch, we're moving on from Jimmy Garoppolo. It's Trey's team. Jimmy won't be here. Jimmy Garoppolo is the better player. You are a team that needs to win right now. You don't have an immediate trade lined up for him. Your best player is holding in. Your top running back is now injured. Your coach and your GM are on the hot seat, even though they don't seem like they are. And you're going to go with a young quarterback. You're forcing him in there when he's not ready. He's not ready. Jimmy Garoppolo should still be the quarterback for the 49ers. They're trying to move too fast, and it's going to cost Shanahan and John Lynch their jobs. That's all I have to say about that. We're moving forward. We got Alex's mystery segment coming up
I can't
next.
about that. You're just going to drop the mic on that?
Do you want in?
Well, of course I do. Especially when we agree. I mean, it's like, and this is to a much smaller degree in my backyard, when Steve Keim, right after the draft pretty much said, Zaven Collins is the starting inside linebacker.
Yes.
Jordan Hicks can request a trade. And it's 6 months before the season starts. We're like, hold on. And spoiler alert, Jordan Hicks started and played the majority of the snaps all year. Like, This is great news for the Cardinals. In my backyard again, Jimmy Garoppolo is a top 18 quarterback, and he's never gotten any sort of – it's one NFC championship game and one Super Bowl where you made one bad pass and your defense completely failed you in the second half. Like, that's Jimmy Garoppolo's fault. Give me a break. Yeah, I agree with you. And more power to him. Get Jimmy Garoppolo out of there. Get Elijah Mitchell out of there. Who cares? That's fantastic for the Cardinals in the NFC West.
What is going on in San Francisco? Shout out Brian Windhorst. But moving forward, we got Alex's mystery segment up to cap off the show. A banger Thursday edition of the Locked On NFL podcast. We're continuing on next.
All right, final segment here, Locked On NFL Thursday. He is Tyler Rowland from Locked On Titans at Tic Tac Titans on Twitter. You can check out all the Titans news Monday through Friday, free and available on all platforms. I am Alex Clancy. Follow me on Twitter, Clancy's Corner. Locked On Cardinals, Monday through Friday, Cardinals news. A lot of stuff going on with Kyler Murray. So if you want some insight from somebody who covers the team every day or, talks about the team every day, me. That's me. Okay, so mystery segment. I preface this every week. Tyler likes to do a lot of prep. He likes to write out points and he likes to read them because that's how he operates and that's how he gets his best foot forward and best content for. Absolutely perfect for him. Not how I do things. Coming from a radio background, I like topics. I have my bullet points, but I'm not writing things out. I'm talking about it, in stream of consciousness. I call it circular thinking. The didgeridoo-dooders, the circular breathing, that's circular thinking, where you have your topic, you continue to think as you speak. That's what this is all about. So mystery segment I like to do with Tyler so he can prep. And this one is hypothetical. It's fun. It's not actual player or team related. What's your favorite ice cream? No, that's not it. So it's
vanilla.
Because, again, this is kind of Cardinal-centric. I kind of thought about this. Would you rather have a top 10 offense and a bottom 10 defense and special teams, or a bottom 10 offense and a top 10 defense and special teams in this day and age of the NFL? Top 10 offense, bottom 10 defense and special teams, bottom 10 offense, top 10 defense and special teams. I can go first if you'd like.
No, I'll go. I think you got a better chance to win with a top 10 defense and a top 10 special teams, and then a bottom 10 offense. Quite frankly, that's been the Tennessee Titans model for the last 25 years. So I think that you have a consistent defense because, see, you can have a great offense and you're still going to have to compete. If your defense is so bad, the points that you score may not be enough. And while you're still going to have to score points, if you have a dominant defense and a dominant special teams, they're going to score you points, which is going to assist your offense with the point scoring task. So to me, give me the top 10 defense and the top 10 special teams, and I'll go with a bottom 10 offense that runs the ball, and we'll find a way to be a competitive football team. So I would go with that.
Man, you've been wrong this whole podcast. I'm taking the other side. So the reason why is like the Packers won the Super Bowl with technically the worst defense in the NFL that year. I think they give the most yards, and I know that's not points per game. I know it's yards.
Such an anomaly.
Yeah, well, that's fine, but it proves my point, which is fantastic. So it doesn't prove it; it strengthens.
Well, I'll go with the Baltimore Ravens, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in the early 2000s.
The Baltimore Ravens are the reason why I chose the other side. The Baltimore Ravens are why I chose the other side, because you can win games, but you need to score points with your offense to win deep playoff run games. Look at what
I think there are more Super Bowl champions of my design than Super Bowl champions of your design.
Yeah, because up until 1995, nobody scored any offense. So it doesn't. It's all based on it's all on a curve. Like if you can put up a 30 burger a game, you can win Super Bowls more likely than if you put up 23 points per game and give up 15 or something. And that's the special teams is the linchpin here. The special teams is the tough part that nobody thinks about. It's not just field goals.
It's important.
It's coverage on punts. It's everything like that. Like I would take the 6th best offense and the 23rd best defense and special teams as opposed to a top 5 defense and a top 5 special teams.
It's like the Chicago Bears went to the Super Bowl against Peyton Manning in 2005 or 2004. I mean, they almost won. They went to the Super Bowl.
They didn't almost win jack.
No, they went to the Super Bowl. They almost won the Super Bowl in terms of they made it that far with a dynamite special teams led by Devin Hester and then an incredible defense led by Brian Urlacher, Lance Briggs, etc. So I believe in that model more than Peyton Manning's Indy teams forever that never really got to the Super Bowl except one time.
Alex Clancy, Tyler Rowland, Locked On NFL Thursday. This is what it's all about, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes.
We'd like to have fun here. Thanks for making Locked On NFL your first listen each and every day. Coming up tomorrow, we got you locked. Chris Carter and your boy Q will rip through all the top storylines around the NFL. Alex Clancy, Tyler Rowland. We'll talk to you next Thursday, baby.